The following program is a real estate and mortgage show and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised. Good morning and welcome to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts Randy and Jackie right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board, send us an email. Our email address is instudio101@gmail.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, right to your hosts of Your Home, Your Money, Randy and Jackie.
Well, hello all.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, exciting morning. Why? My wife is not feeling, her throat's not feeling very well, and so the more she talks, the more she coughs. So this leads me to a thought that this could really be a really good thing. Like, I mean, I feel bad for you and everything like that, but then it means that I will get
more
quiet.
talking? Wow. If you're going to talk more, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I'm thinking more about afterwards when my life would become quiet.
It's
and
never
peaceful.
quiet because you don't stop talking. So I don't get you right now. How is it quiet? If there's dead air around, nobody talking, you start speaking.
That's not true. It's
You're
funny,
laughing.
but it's not true.
No, you're laughing because you know it's true.
It's not
Everybody
true.
knows Randy likes to talk, and he likes to talk in complete detail. So he's going to take you back to the ABCs of his conversation. And after about every 5 sentences, he looks at me and he's like, "Are you listening? Do you understand what I'm saying? Did you get it?" I'm like, "Why are you asking me 3 different ways before I even get a chance to say yes or no?" And then he starts talking again. Come on, look at your face. Look at me.
I'm not.
Look at me. You know it. And you know
I
how
don't
you
agree.
know it? It's not the smile, it's the eyes. All I got to do is look at his eyes and I know if he's lying or joking or whatever. Your eyes are your soul.
You don't get the joking one. You totally miss that. Like,
What joking one?
anytime I joke with you,
because your jokes are dry.
When you say dry, do you mean like in a negative way, or do you mean dry as like in a British sense of humor?
It could be a little bit of British sense of humor, and it could be that it's just not funny.
To you?
No, to a lot of people.
Like a lot of people, being there's 7 billion people on the earth. You mean like
come
100
on.
people?
We're not really amongst that many people.
No, but it's just that, so you say a lot
I
of
don't
people.
know.
I'm
Mike
thinking
and
it's
Gary
gotta
is
be
here.
pretty
Guys,
funny.
does Randy like to talk a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Also, too, Gary.
But am I funny?
Our emails, hold on. Sorry, Randy. Our emails are having a problem, so you can email to where this morning, Gary? And I apologize for last week we didn't get any.
Yeah. If you have a question, a comment, a thought process for Randy or Jackie, our email address this morning is instudio101@gmail.com.
Wow. Okay.
So
you know what?
can email there and Gary will read them. And I apologize. We had something like 17 emails last Saturday on the show, and we didn't receive any of them. We're having problems with our server, so we're going to be changing servers, and so we won't have that problem anymore.
Yeah.
And anyways, back to dissing you. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so you know what I did want to talk about? I did want to talk about a couple of things, but one being my wife just pulled up the Google News, and what'd you find?
Well, what's on there is 2 weeks old, and then I like to go to TO Blog, and find some stories on Bloomberg News and that. And the TO blog has one story, and it's about some little town in Ontario where you can go and the scenery's beautiful and shipwrecks and all that. There's nothing else. There's no new news anymore.
Well, I wouldn't say there's no
Wait a minute.
news.
How are you getting...
No, this is different. The real estate news has been cut off. So I don't know if it's necessarily Google, but we definitely know that Meta has canceled all Canadian news content. It's gone. It doesn't exist in the metaverse. And so this is due to the conflict between social media companies and our federal government. Our federal government is saying that the news companies need to pay, the social media companies need to pay their fair share of news content. So
you
when
mean
someone
they need
clicks
to
a
pay?
link, they need to pay the people who did the news. And so the whole thing was, it's a utopian type of philosophy, the same utopian type of philosophy that we're experiencing in many different areas that just don't work. Let's save the world, but have poverty here in Canada. Let's send millions or even billions over to other countries. And we have people who are hungry here, and our inflation is going through the roof, and people are losing their homes and all this stuff, their cars, their jobs, but we're philanthropists and sending money in other places. It's the same sort of thing where they have this grand vision of utopia, where if someone clicks a link, the news companies make money. And it sounded great in the boardroom when they made the policies, but when they had to deliver the policies to the social media or to the internet at large, that's where the utopia went out the window. And because of that, news is going to be a lot harder to come by here in Canada unless we're going to the sources. So if you're going to the source, you're going to get the news. The problem is most of us don't really care too much about the news because of two kind of reasons. One, well, news is really negative. And the reason why it's negative is because typically speaking, we're attracted to negativity. Two people got shot at Jane and Finch. And so all of a sudden, everybody's talking about the two people.
You want to know what's going on in the world?
I don't care about that stuff, no.
But
and
you've got news going all night long, and why am I listening to news when I'm trying to sleep?
Sweetheart, stay focused. The news
I'm focused.
The news that you're listening to has nothing to do with people getting shot and mugged and carjacked and all that stuff. You're not hearing any of that from me. That's your news that you're listening to, not mine. I don't do that. Mine is about real estate or even politics, and it's about that and what's going on there. And so what's happened is that the world has kind of not found the news channels interesting, not only to mention that they're actually, unfortunately, extremely biased. It's something that we did not know before. So if the news...
We didn't know? We knew.
Huh?
We knew.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's all about ratings.
You knew. I did not know.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so my wife somehow believes things that actually aren't true, and she believes them with all her heart. I did not know until Donald Trump got into power. I had no idea that news was filtered with a bunch of personal views. I thought it was just the news. And it wasn't until I started following Donald Trump and his journey and still listening to CNN and those channels. And then I was like, holy smokes, he didn't say that. And one of the big things was when he was in a conference that they had videotaped, and he was talking about MS-13, which is a gang member, gangs, which they arrested a bunch of them trying to cross the border. And he said, you know what, they're not sending us their best, they're sending us their worst. And these MS-13 gang members are coming across and they're completely animals. Well, what happened when you listen to MSNBC, ABC, CNN News? What you heard was that Donald Trump said that all immigrants are animals and nobody has he's so disgusting, nobody has the right to call other people animals. This is disgusting. It's like, okay, well, let's take these MS-13 gang members and put them up in your house. Let's do that, and then you tell us they're not animals. Okay? So, but this was how the conversation was twisted, and it went on like that for years. He was a Russian spy, a whole bunch of stuff. And here's the thing, whether you like him or you don't like him, the fact is that how can you like a media that is absolutely 100% lying? They are bringing stuff to you that's 100% lie. And that to me was absolutely disgusting. So that's when we found out, and believe me, a large portion of the population who likes Donald or doesn't like Donald found out that this stuff is all garbage. And that's why CNN's ratings are like, the children's shows get bigger ratings than CNN does now, and cartoons and that. And so that's why a lot of people hopped on to social media, not to the channels. I'll just say one more.
Of course, go ahead, talk.
So what's happened now is that we have sort of been desensitized by the news, and we're skeptical of the news that we hear. If you listen to Fox News, it's all about supporting conservatives. And if you listen to any of the other news, it's all about supporting the Democrats. And we didn't know that before. And so we sort of turned off to that. And here in Canada, it's a little bit different because there's rebel news that's more conservative, but we'll see what that looks like when a conservative party gets in, because they're kind of rebels. Yes. Most likely it will. And then all the other news is basically has a liberal agenda, and we didn't know this. And so this was all something that you may have known because you're so bright, but I didn't find out until Donald Trump got in, and then we saw those attacks firsthand on a U.S. president.
Okay.
And they were lies and fake. And so go ahead, hon.
What I was saying when you said you didn't know, do you know how long ago it was when Donald Trump was president? Do you have any idea how long? How many years?
2.5 years ago.
Okay, but he was in for 4 years, right? So that makes it 6.5 years.
No, because when he first got in, we didn't know. I didn't know. When he first got in, I didn't know. He was rambling about these things,
Why are you
but
watching
I didn't
all
believe
that
it.
stuff and not watching local?
Well, first of all,
or Canadian, or what's going on with the Canadian government.
No,
I got to ask you this now.
Yeah, I do watch that though, hon. I do watch that. We'll talk
about American politics.
Well, it's way more fascinating.
Yeah,
and not only that, to be honest with you, I never realized how much. Like, first of all, I loved. Okay, we'll go into that another time. But I never realized how much the U.S. Politics plays in Canada. When Donald Trump was in, he made oil prices that low, jobs were good. We were doing so much better. Then our new, or the United States new president gets in and automatically cancels just about everything he did. And we started feeling that pinch. And then we've got another kind of issue on our hands with our prime minister. And yeah, he does some silly things, but I think a big effect of what's going on in the world originates in the United States. Look what the United States says, oh, hey, let's do this quantitative easing. What happens? Canada, hey, yeah, let's do this quantitative easing. So, and then other countries say, yeah, United States, let's do this quantitative easing.
So what you're saying is no one else can think for themselves.
Not saying that. They are the leader. They are the international leader of the world, the most powerful country in the world. And at one point, I absolutely hated them. That was when George Bush was in power. I absolutely hated the United States politics. I would never watch anything. I thought it was so corrupt. I don't know if George Bush Jr. was corrupt, but definitely the lynchmen around him was. At least that was my opinion, and I hated it. And then Bill Clinton I loved, and Obama I loved, and then Trump came in, and it was like, what? I thought I hated conservatives. I don't know what happened,
Okay.
but started to like that guy.
All right. So, Gary, do we have any emails?
Man, we sure do.
Oh, gosh.
First of all, thank you for writing in. Folks, if you'd like to write in with a comment or a question, our email address this morning is instudio101@gmail.com. instudio101@gmail.com. Kim wrote in. Very first email of the morning. Randy, be nice to Jackie. That's from Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Wow. Justin also writes in and says, Jackie, I hope you feel better.
Oh, thank you,
That's
Justin.
from Justin. Pam says, yes, regarding what we can say and can't say here in Canada and social media, here's my quote. Welcome to Nazi Canada. That's from Pam.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you a little bit, Pam, for sure. Like, they're definitely trying to restrict anything that comes out of our mouths.
Any other emails?
Oh, yep, quite a few. Hold on, let me just refresh here. Stephen writes in, he says, how many times have we here in Canada had to wait for medical procedures or told not enough doctors, not enough MRI machines, not enough hospitals, not enough, while Justin Trudeau sends millions, if not a few $billions every year to other countries? Why can't we use like 90% of that money here and just send what we have as a residual? It would help Canadians, especially the elderly, the veterans, the people living on the street. Think how many more doctors, hospitals, and everything else we can have if that idiot quit sending our tax money to other countries. That's from Stephen.
Stephen, you know what? I don't understand that either. I've never really got that.
I can explain it to you. Another time, we'll do the emails.
Okay.
Okay,
But I don't get that either.
Nicole wrote in, she said, I used to follow CNN a lot. I really love that news platform. However, in the last 2 years, they lost 7 lawsuits for different various reasons. I totally lost respect. They used to really report the news, a fire, an incident, a murder, etc. Now it's all one-sided. They hate the Republicans and conservatives, and they don't report the news anymore. It is now an opinionated news channel. That's from Nicole.
And Nicole, I totally agree with you, because years ago, CNN was the place to go to find out what was going on, and it was very accurate. And now it's like just half of it or most of it's garbage.
Right. Stanley wrote in. Hold on, Stan. I got to make your font bigger. Stanley says, Randy is right. That's all he says. Randy is right. That's from Stanley.
He's usually right, Stanley. I don't like to admit that, but...
Yep. Let's see. Larry says, I am writing to you from Manitoba here in Canada. Nobody wants to listen to the CBC anymore because they are funded by the federal government. It is a government entity. It's not private news. Therefore, they will never tell the truth about any government that's in power, or they will lose their funding. That's from Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
And let's see, 2 more here. I don't know who this is from. It's just a bunch of numbers in the address.
Okay.
But it says, and I let's see here. It says that idiot down in the United States, Biden, he sent $6 billion to Iran 2 weeks ago. The news reported on that, but yet Iran said, down with the USA, down to the infidels, we hate the Christians in the United States, and yet Biden sends $6 billion to that country. Is that guy really insane? That's from Numbers. Hello, Numbers.
Yeah.
That's a true story. That was in the
Yeah.
news. That's true. And lastly, hold on. Amy says, Jackie, the reason why Randy and the news media still brings up Trump, even though he's not the president anymore, it's because he's still in the news. They cannot let this guy go. He's running for president again. So for the next few months, that's all you're going to hear about is Trump, even though he's not the president. He is still newsworthy worldwide. That's from Amy. And back to you folks.
Yeah, Amy, I totally agree. And I mean, nobody really likes Trump because he's raw. That's the only way I can describe him. He's raw. He tells it like it is. I don't think anybody is pushing buttons and telling him what to do. And the people that control the government didn't like that because I believe he was going outside of what they wanted done. But so many people hate him. And I get it, okay? He's crude. He's done some stuff in life that's not so, but so is other people, like Bill Clinton, like all of them.
Like
They've all done stuff. You've done stuff like that?
Oh, I've done stuff that I'm not well, I wouldn't say I'm not proud of, that I shouldn't have
I'm
done.
not talking about that. I'm talking about the women thing. So you've done stuff like that?
Yeah.
Huh? Mm-hmm. We've been together like almost 30 years. So
Not
when was
while
this?
we were together. Come on, give me
But
a
then
break.
you need to explain yourself.
Well, I was young once.
Yeah, well, we were all young
We met
once.
when I was 35.
But-
I mean, we got together when I was 35. It's
Yeah.
very from 14 to 35 is quite a range.
You did a lot of damage?
Quite a
You
range
did a lot
there.
of damage. Anyways, I think personally, and I know a lot of people that are going to hate me, but I think Trump did a lot of good things for the people in America. And
people
let's
all
forget
over the
about
world.
Trump now. Let's talk
Yeah.
about real estate.
I want to go over Kim. Kim said, "Be nice to Jackie." Thank you, Kim. Appreciate that. I think I'm always nice, but she would disagree with that. But I really do. I have only love in my heart. But I guess as a human,
But I'm here this morning working sick. The big boss,
I never said.
I know.
Anyways, Justin, Jackie, feel better. Thank you, Justin, for being mushy. And you know what? That is, we should double check the last name on that. Was that Justin Trudeau that wrote in to Jackie there?
wow,
I'm just
look at that.
not sure.
I did
Well, he
delete
is
it,
getting
but
divorced.
It was not. It
Okay.
was not.
He may have been one of his aliases. Okay. Pam, just like Biden has like 20 aliases, right? Emails and stuff. Anyways, forget
So
it.
do you.
Pam, no, I do not. Pam, welcome to Nazi Canada. I kind of know where you're coming from there. There are rumblings about Castro and Trudeau. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but we do know that Justin Trudeau does really appreciate the way that China runs their government and how they are the absolute czar, the controller of people, and he kind of likes that. So, I can kind of see where you're coming from there. Stephen, medical doctors not enough, billions going to other countries. Stephen, I 100% agree with that. And as Jackie said, I don't
Agree with
understand.
what, him?
With him, that the billions going to other countries. Stephen, can you imagine if you have children that you don't feed your children, one of them's hungry, whatever, but you're feeding everyone else on the street.
Oh, jeez.
And you're feeding the other people in the community. But your children, no, I'm sorry, children, I can't. As a matter of fact, you have to pay me money to stay here. You have to pay taxes. But it's absolutely, it defies logic. But we understand that foreign policies is a big part of their government play. And so this is why they do that, because it's a major part of their platform. However, they should sort of rethink this thing. And yes, it will hurt Canada on the world stage. If you're not giving away free money, in other words, buying friends, if you're not buying friends, you're going to lose those friends. Okay, and so what will happen is there'll be all kinds of political pressure on you to because you're not buying friends. Don't you remember Donald Trump did this? He started going.
Buy less friends then, and give a little here. Like, do you have to give those extravagant amounts?
Yes. That's how they become the man on the street. So you have to. That's how they you're in the G7. You're not in the G7 if you're not giving people money. You're going to drop down into the G20, into the into the G50. So they have to. So this is sort of like part of the game, and they're philanthropists with our money. And this is just the way it works. And the other argument that you can make for it is if they were to give away $1 billion, well, it's only $5 for each person. Let's say if we make up that amount. So what are you concerned about?
Because it's a lot of $5 I'm putting out.
Well, this
constantly.
is it. That's one. But two is it's not a matter if it's just $5. It's a matter that the money is going somewhere where it doesn't need. Well, it probably needs to go, but we know that only a percentage of that is doing anything good. Let's make ourselves better. Let's perfect ourselves, and then go outside and become this great philanthropy
because,
country.
You know what? It's like I was listening to this thing the other day, and this guy was saying, and it's so true when you think about it. He's like, okay, so we pay income tax, right, on our money. So, which is pretty much like half. You saw that as well? Mm-hmm. Pretty much half. But then we're taxed when we get a haircut, when we buy, services, groceries, gas, everything. So we're being double taxed all the time. It's almost like the visas where nobody knows, but you're getting charged, like they're getting double.
So now, so you're charged on your income, in some cases 50%, on the higher portion of your income, whatever. And then you buy a house and you're paying property tax, and then you buy the beds and the clothes and all that stuff for it. You're paying HST tax and all this stuff, 13%. It is kind of really crazy when you think about it. But then all of these taxes is what allows our country to be able to go out and give away money. Otherwise, if we didn't pay that, we wouldn't be able to do that. So that's...
I get that. But you know what? I'm still agreeing with, what was his name? So sorry. Or her name?
For
the
Stephen.
Yeah. So I agree with Stephen, though. Like, help your own first. Like, I know a lot of people say, like, oh, the people are on the streets because they want to be there. No.
Not everyone.
A lot of them have mental health issues that need to be going somewhere and getting the right medication and being stable to be able to go back out into the world and be productive. But we're not doing that either because we don't have enough space for that. And there's so much mental health. It's unbelievable. We need to do more. We really do. We need to do more for our own.
True, and some people, I believe, do want to be on the street. Remember, we were helping one homeless person, and he wanted to be there. He would love to have his own place, but if he had which he did have his own place, we helped and facilitated that, and he was in a hotel and all this stuff. And then it begins to get filled with other druggies and stuff like that. And then he's got this guy. His money was absolutely controlled each day. He had enough money to maybe go out and get himself, a pack of cigarettes and, a hamburger, whatever. and you'd go back that night to check on him, and he has a big bong in there and a broken glass on the floor from, I don't know what you do with this glass, but I know it's some kind of drug, the little pen glass thing, and then he has remnants
tube,
of
you mean?
weed. Like, holy smokes, I have no idea how much all that stuff costs, but he didn't have the money for it, so how the hell did he do it? I don't know. If he's
well,
maybe
we kinda
hoeing
know.
himself out. I don't know. Well, how do we
That's
know?
what they say.
They'll hoe yourself out? Yeah, it's
Because
possible.
what else do you have to offer somebody? Nobody's giving you this stuff for free when they got to pay for it. Like, think about it.
Fair enough. So it surprised the hell out of me. I didn't think about it at the time. I was just blown away. I thought he was the world's greatest salesman. That's what I thought. But it certainly does give yield to another thought, is that what you think about, you will get, because that's what he thought about, and he was able to get it.
Manifestation, yeah.
So that's really interesting, and that's the positive in it. But surely there's a lot of negative in it as well. Yeah, so let's move on to Nicole. CNN lost 7 lawsuits. You know what? CNN, unfortunately, if you actually follow the source, like what they did to that kid with there was just so much wrong with CNN. Honestly, I am so embarrassed for why
are you embarrassed? You don't have nothing to do with CNN.
Embarrassed for a guy that I always admired, because I would see him always on the news channel, but I never cared. It was Anderson.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Anybody
Cooper.
know, Gary?
Anderson Cooper, yeah. So this guy, I thought he was like the icon of CNN and Wolf Blitzer. And then, damn, these guys,
It's all about money.
They destroyed their all of their credibility. As soon as Trump came in, they destroyed all of their credibility, wedging themselves on fake news that all turned out to be fake. It was insane, and so I don't even know how you recover from that. But I guess in time, because people are very loving and giving and spiritual, and we have other things that we want to move on to, that we sort of forgive, and maybe the next generation isn't quite as aware, and then you sort of move forward from there. Similar to this whole game that was just played, and I'm sorry, I just believe it's a financial gain, where they take the money from a good portion of the population and they move it. And that's what we're going through right now. The money's being moved. That's why some people can't afford anything that could afford everything before, that were living high on the hog before. Now they're just scraping by. And the people below them, they're all out. They're out now. They're down and out. And that's transformation
Which can
of wealth.
happen very easily.
Well, it just happened. And we're going through it right now. And the thing is that if it happened because the world stopped on a dime and spun on a dime, that's one thing. But when it happens because the Bank of Canada initiated it with their quantitative easing, their QE, that's another thing, because now we see the game, we saw how it took place, this is what's happening, and they're pushing it even further by making everything super expensive for us, so including housing and that. Stanley, Randy is right. Okay, thank you. Larry, Manitoba, is the CBC is funded by the government, so they can't tell the truth about the government. You know, that is so true. I don't necessarily know if they're in any way care which government is in, because the government is funding them. But it is really important that certain topics that are important to discuss, they cannot discuss them. I agree with that. Numbers. Well, I can imagine why your email says numbers. You're trying to hide something. I get it, because of the stuff that you speak about. I get it. I would be afraid as well. And this whole $6 billion to Iran, when Iran is kind of hates Canada. Now I understand.
U.S. and Canada.
Yeah. Sorry, to Iran.
We seem to be. Everybody seems to think we're a necessity breed.
I understand how it is not US's money. But that money was frozen for a damn reason. Like, it was frozen for a reason. It was taken away for a reason. And that's because Iran is going to build nuclear bombs and stuff. So you just give them, like, honestly, I do not for the life of me understand how people don't think that Biden is under some kind of that he's compromised. I don't understand it, because all of the stuff he does. The other day he was talking all wonderful about China and how he wants everyone to be able to compete. Why? Because he's been paid by China. I mean, this is propaganda. This is conspiracy theories, possibly, but I really honestly don't understand how you can give these guys that money back when they're not thinking about peace. They're thinking about war and killing you at every chance that they can get. They hate you with a passion, and you're going to fund them to become a more of an army type. So the thing is that one more thing is with Iran is that what was I going to say? Iran, them giving them the $6 billion. And this is pure speculation, I believe that it's possible that they were given that money knowing that they're going to cause a bunch of shit. But the people who make money when the shit is caused, when there's conflict, when there's fighting and that, those are the people, I bet, behind the pressure, behind the pressure to give out that money. Because there's no other logical reason. And you know that they're going to cause trouble. They're not going to go and start feeding their homeless with this. They're not going to give it away to countries that need it. So we know that's not what's going to happen. They're going to cause trouble with it because they caused trouble without it. And so now that they got the money to do it, there's a group that is actually making money on wars and things like that. And that's where I think that pressure and those decisions are coming from. Just a guess. Amy, Trump is still in the news, yes, because he's still in the news. He will always be in the news. As a matter of fact, as we know now, they are going to charge him. They're going to try to imprison him. He may become the next Nelson Mandela. Not for the same reasons, but just for the fact that Nelson Mandela was put in jail. And I don't mean like all the aspects of Nelson Mandela. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that he was put in jail by the government, and then he became the leader of the government. So this may be a similar type thing. I don't know. That's my responses to the email. What's up, babes?
Well, we probably have more emails, do we, Gary?
Oh, God, yes.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I'll start here. Okay. Hold on. Anne wrote in. It's either Anne or Annie. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. Randy is exactly right with this money giving away to other countries. It makes us look good. It's a feel-good thing. Trudeau can pat himself on the back by giving away this money. But think about it. Even if you gave $1 billion away, why don't we keep $700 million for our people and then just give $300 million away if that's all we can do? Put the money back into the Canadian people's lives. We are the ones paying for it by being overtaxed. That's from Anne or Annie.
Yep, I totally agree.
Yep. Oscar wrote in. Oscar says, OMG, it's all in caps in bold. He says, great stories today. We love it. That's from Oscar.
Thanks, Oscar.
Thank you.
Let's see. Bryce wrote in. He said, regarding those CNN lawsuits, Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer were behind some of them by things they reported and got sued for libel. Those two guys should be taken off the air. They are responsible for some of the lawsuits for CNN. That's from Bryce. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Bryce. Leslie wrote in here. Iran is going to do something just like Randy said. Why would you give that kind of money to these people that already hate you? That is lunacy 101. That's from Leslie.
Yep.
And Betty says all this stuff that they're talking about with Trump indicted, jail terms, this, that. What about Biden and his crime family? Think about that. He blackmailed someone in the Ukraine out of billions of dollars if they didn't fire a prosecutor. They found documents in his house that he should not have even had when he was vice president. He did not have these things in secure locations. He said he had nothing to do with his son's business dealings, which the FBI came out with a report and said they did. It goes on, but they don't touch him. They only touch Trump. That's from Betty, and I think besides my computer blowing up with all these emails.
Well, Betty, I agree, but the reason is because they're liberal, so they get away with everything.
Okay, and so back to you, folks. If you want to write in really quick, our email address is instudio101@gmail.com, instudio101@gmail.com. Back to you, Randy and Jackie.
Okay, so Annie, Randy is right.
Once again.
Yeah, we
Just
should
let
keep
it
our
go.
money.
Go on to the next one.
Oscar, great stories. Thank you, Oscar. Bryce, CNN lawsuits with Cooper and Blitzer off the air. They should be off the air.
That kind of sound like the reindeers.
I kind of, yeah. I kind of, I'm not sure if they should be off the air, but I'm just surprised that they were two of the people that they kept. It just you would think if CNN was going to turn themselves around, they'd have to start all anew. But they did get rid of a lot of people who were really, really, really obvious. Leslie, Iran money is lunacy 101. Yeah, I mean, it's so insane. And Betty, Trump versus Biden. This is, regardless of if you are a Trump lover or love what he did, it is very, very obvious the difference. I was talking with a gentleman yesterday where they are Biden lovers. They don't believe that Biden has done any of that stuff and he's not connected in any way. And honestly, for the life of me, I can't see how he's not connected. It's honestly impossible that you could be in the same space with your son creating all these crimes everywhere that you take him. Everywhere you fly him to, he gets more money, and you don't know anything about it. Like, give me a break. That's honestly stupid. Especially when someone can say, go out and protest peacefully, and you eliminate the go out peacefully, and you say go out go out and protest, and you're the reason why things happened. That's what happened to Trump, is like they removed some of the words that he said so that they could take just a portion of it. And with Biden, they extend. Biden doesn't even have to say the full sentence. They make up all the rest to make him innocent. And it's actually kind of really, really scary. And the reason why I say it's scary is because forget about Trump. If they can do it to him, what the heck can they do to us? We don't even have a leg to stand on. And so that's what makes it scary. When you see this juxtaposition between the way in which they handle some people versus others. Some people, it doesn't matter what you say, you could say, I love you, and then all of a sudden the word love was removed from you, and it's like, I want to get you. It's insane. And so, yeah, Betty, I hear what you're saying, and so as I was saying, I was talking with a gentleman, and he was saying how they're just trying to get Biden on something, and that they're trying to get to the truth, but we already know the truth. It's just how do you prove it? right? And so the thing is that there are still a lot of people who are on the CNN, and ABC, and NSSBC, whatever, all those channels, bandwagging, where they are protecting. And here's the sad part, is that they obviously don't mind corruption. Like, this is the part that gets me. They're playing holier than thou, but they are absolutely protecting corruption. And so how can you listen to anything that they say about anyone? Like, I mean, at least they should hold their ground and say, well, we need to see what's going to happen in that. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying, well, there's no proof in anything, and that's not what was happening, and Trump is this, like moving the cheese over to somewhere else. And yeah, it is kind of interesting. Really interesting. Okay, thank you for your emails. Wow.
So, I just got a question for you. It was something I was reading this morning, and it's from Oxford Economics, and they are saying that Canada is in a recession.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
We have negative GDP growth, and so that constitutes a recession. However, the Biden administration in QT, we're in negative. Q2, sorry.
Yeah.
The Biden administration reworded recession. So
No, but I'm talking about Canada.
I know.
This got to do with Biden?
Because remember, they are the leaders of the world. And so because they have had 2 months of negative growth, it's no longer considered a recession. That's not what a recession anymore is. What a recession is when the liberals and Democrats are out of power and that happens. But if they're in power and that happens, it's not considered a recession. So that's quite interesting. That's new Bidenomics. We are in a recession. We all feel it. Many people are very, very concerned about if they can feed their family in that. But here's the thing. The fact that jobs, people are more unemployed, the fact that it's harder to afford the standard of living, the fact that it becomes harder to purchase a home, those are all effects that we are feeling right now. So that would be a recession even if it wasn't negative GDP growth. Okay, because we're all feeling that. So obviously there's a problem that would be considered like a recession. But here's the thing that we really have to look at. And we were talking about this just before the show. When the Bank of Canada did the bank hikes, it takes 18 months for it to be felt in the economy. We are in month 18. So the first rate hike, the economy is now just going to show the signs of that rate hike. Now remember, there were 9 more rate hikes after that. So we have a long way to go to actually feel the effects of it. Now, this part may be hard to grasp because we've seen such devastation from when they did the rate hikes. But the devastation we felt was just like, and I tried to explain this, and it may be a bad example, but if I was to take a sledgehammer and break your leg, you would feel the pain of that. Everybody would be upset about that and everything. But and the pain you would feel, you would, in your mind would be all messed up and everything, just like we're all messed up from when the rate hike started. But your family and your economy and of scale and all that stuff, your finances and all that stuff is not going to feel the pressure of that right then. It will take some time. Right now, you're in the hospital, you got a cast on your leg, you're not walking around, you're not getting the effects of it, you just mentally the effects. But then you get out of the hospital and now you're a construction worker, you can't go to work. Now you're feeling the financial pain of it. You can't help your family. Your family's feeling the pain. Now you're actually getting the real effects of it. And that's what's going on now. We're starting now to get the real effects through the economy of the very first rate hike. So we're in a recession already. Remember, there's supposed to be a soft landing. We've got 9 more rate hikes to go to really be able to feel like we've got another year to really see what these rate hikes have actually done to the economy. All the rest of the stuff was just surface stuff. It was consumer confidence that was being eroded. And that's where we were. But now we're getting into the real effects of it. So how's that going to affect us? Well, let's look at what's going on in our real estate industry right now. So right now, what we're seeing is that sales have declined 5.2% over last year. And last year was devastating. Remember that. Devastating last year. 5.2% down over last year. But our inventory is up 16.2 to 16.5%. 16.2 for new listings, then 16.5 for active listings. So in other words, while sales are going like this, inventory is going like this. In other words, sales are going down, inventory is going up. What happens in a situation like that? If we go back to Economics 101, if you're getting more and more chocolate bars or homes on the market, then you've got all these chocolate bars in your store, you got more and more supply, you have to reduce the price to get them out before they go stale. Well, in real estate, they don't necessarily go stale that way, but what happens is there's just not enough people to buy those homes. So the people who need to sell their homes have to reduce the price in order to get it sold. So there's a downward pressure on price. So that's what we're seeing going on in the economy. And what's going on with prices? Well, prices actually remain fairly flat. But we're going to see how that moves moving forward. Remember, we're in the first month of the effects. This September is the first month of feeling the effects of the first rate hike this month. And so so we're looking at what's going on with our supply and demand indicators, which is our sales to new listing ratio and our months of inventory. Sales to new listing ratio has gone from the seller's market to a balanced market, which means that both sellers and buyers are struggling with each other and neither one has the upper hand over the other. But it's quickly, as inventory is moving up, it's quickly going in favor of buyers. So for those of you who are looking to buy out there, you're going to see the market start to switch over into your favor, but in your favor is only in prices. Unfortunately, with the mortgage payment itself, you're not really getting much of a deal. It's actually more expensive than it was before, even though prices are going to come down. It's really sad to see, but that's 100% because of the Bank of Canada. But that's the way it is. Nothing you can do about it. As you see, we can complain about it every day, but it's not going to change anything. We are not in power. So sales to new listing ratio is 51.1%. Again, a balanced market. And the months of inventory has climbed up to 2.2%. We were looking at months of inventory around 0.5%, 0.6%, and that those kind of numbers. And now we're at 2.2%. As soon as we hit 3, boom, that's balance. And then when we get into 5 to 6, we're looking at a buyer's market. So we have a little bit of a ways to go, but we are definitely shooting towards that balanced market really, really fast. And I think by the end of this month, we might even be there. And days on market. Well, days on market actually is quite interesting because it fluctuates. Here's one of the things. Jackie had just did a CMA last night. A CMA is a current market analysis for a client. And we do that for every single one of our clients. As a matter of fact, it's something that we do on a constant basis, almost every week. And actually more, we definitely do it every week, but I mean for a particular client, listing client, but we do them almost every day for other people. We'll do them for buyers, do them for sellers. Here's the thing. She did it, and what we looked at was that area. How many houses are for sale? And in that area, there were 15, right?
Yeah, it was 15 for sale.
And in the last month, how many sold?
1 out of every 3.
So how many was that sold? 5
last month.
In the last month, 5 sold. So 5 sold, 15 were available. That means that 1 out of every 3 sold. That means that only 33% are selling, 66% are not selling given a month's period of time. What does that tell you? Where are prices going? Well, all you got to do is look at that. If 1 in 3 are selling, that means 2 in 3 are not selling. If those people have to sell because their mortgage went from $3,000 a month to $4,500 or $5,000 a month, and they just can't afford it because the price of gas has gone up, the price of bread and everything else has gone up also, so they can't pull the money from anywhere. What do they have to do with the price of their home to be the 1 in 3 that sells? They have to bring that pricing down. And so you got 2/3 of the market fighting to get sold, which is going to have a downward pressure on price.
On top of that, you need to make sure that if you're selling your house right now, that it looks good.
You got to look good. Listen, right now is probably going to be one of the toughest times in history. Now, I've been in the marketplace, when I started, it would take 6 months to sell a home.
Yeah.
And things like that. I think
a
that
year
we are
to sell $1 million.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, and that was just like average. You list something with someone who's like, okay, well, it could take you 5 to 6 months to sell your home. That's the way it works. And so now what we're going to see is, remember, if only 1 in 3 are selling in the last month, well, we know if no more homes came on the inventory, it would take 3 months altogether to get rid of those homes if the market kept going at the speed that it was at. So the thing is that right now, if those sellers do not, because remember I said it's a hard time to sell and you really have to know what you're doing. Sellers, buyers can be picky, and they are going to be picky, and they have been picky.
They got a lot out there to look at.
They got 60% of the homes are just sitting. And 66% and 33% are selling. So there's no urgency to run out and buy. You can wait for the right property, right? You can wait for the best scenario for you and your family. That's the picture for buyers. For sellers, you need to know, and I guess we'll give out this nugget. Do you want to hit this, or can I do this nugget?
Well, I wanted to say one thing about what you were talking about, just like, we listed this house yesterday. It's 40 Monarch Wood Crescent at the Don Valley in York Mills. Gorgeous, fully renovated home. And we put it on the market because it is the fall market now where things, may pick up a little. But then I had another person call me last night saying that, they want to move. And, she called me because her real estate agent that she normally uses right now said to her, oh yeah, let's get it on the market. And and I said to her, well, I'm going to be honest with you, if you don't have to sell right this minute, then wait until spring, because spring hopefully will be better, right? If you can wait that long. But some people can't, but that is ideally the best time to sell.
In most situations. So 1, visit Monarch Wood. 2 is, like I said, buyers, you're having the choice of the market right now, which is a really, really good thing. And sellers, and that was the nugget I was going to give you. I'm going to try to give this to you in a minute. So sellers, you have to know what has sold recently, because what sold recently will tell you what people have done to get to the 1 in 3. In that particular pocket. Not every pocket's the same. And then you got to look at what is available on the market, because that tells you a couple of things. It tells you who your competition is, where they're at, and where you can position yourself to be the 1 in 3. Right? Mm-hmm. And then you can look at the expireds, because you can know what not to do. Those people, they tried to sell, they didn't sell. If you're going to use a strategy like what they use, you're not going to sell either. So that's going to be really important to really build out that strategy and look to it. and make that decision on what to do. As my wife said, be careful.
Let's check.
You call a realtor. What's the realtor? Typically, some realtors who are transaction driven, what are they going to tell you? Yeah, list your home. Let's get it sold. Why? Because that's money in their pocket. But if you get a consultant or a consultative realtor, they're actually going to listen to your
market.
situation and help you to navigate the market and have that be a decision that's right for you and your family, not for their bank account.
Which is like I told her, I said, I will do all the research for you, and then we can sit down and decide, like, do you need to do this now or not? Because you got to time yourself properly. I don't think we have time to do any more emails, Gary.
No, we're all set with emails, and you have 1 minute. So
perfect.
Yeah, we have 2 seconds. Thank you very much for joining in. This has been a great discussion for me because our lives is a big part of our show. We love to talk about that, and as my wife says,
I think one day I'm going to do a reality show.
We do 2 things. We talk about real estate and politics, so that's what ends up coming out on the show often. Thank you very much. This has been great. This is your home, your money, and our lives on realityradio101.com.
Check us out on YouTube. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
thank you for listening to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy and Jackie, right here on Reality Radio 101.